It is my calling to make these explained videos by the request of Stacia, the goddess of creation, and if you don't watch the video, God of Darkness Vecta will rise again. Here we go, finally the first full trailer for the upcoming War of Underworld sub-arc of Sword Art Online Alicization is here, along with the key visual for the third core, which will cover volumes 15 and 16 respectively, Alicization invading and exploding. We got a huge variety of scenes in the trailer as well, so without wasting more time, welcome everyone, it's me Gamerturk and this is Alicization Explained, your best source of information on everything Sword Art Online. As always, you can find timestamps to individual points of this extended trailer in the description to skip ahead to a certain moment that may have sparked your attention. Much like the teaser, the trailer showcased scenes from Volume 15, Alicization Invading, but had many more different scenes, including scenes from Ocean Turtle. The key visual, however, for Core 3 showcases things pretty much from the end of Volume 16, Alicization Exploding, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But if you're new to my Explain series, what I do here is essentially provide you all the vital information on characters, events, action, lore from the source material light novels, and provide some context to these scenes from the trailer. But then again, if you want to read the books for yourselves for the amazing experience, Amazon and Book Depository affiliate links are in the description and the knowledge of Stacia awaits you there. But without further ado, we are starting with a major spoiler warning here, as the trailer showcases a lot of events and the key visual has, well, latter volume 16 stuff. If you don't want any spoilers on what you see here, you have to turn away now. We have translated the trailer with English subs, so you can check that, I guess, link in the description and pinned comment. If you want something non-spoilery, you should check my teaser trailer explained video as well as other SAO Alicization related videos. Don't worry if you're unsure if a video of mine has spoilers or not, I will provide appropriate spoiler warnings in every video regarding how much spoilers there will be. Secondly, if you're fine with spoilers, I still do recommend checking out my teaser trailer explained. I will not repeat things I have mentioned back there. My Alicization invading intro and what happened to Kirito video are also going to be useful for you coming into this video. Just pause this, watch them if you want first, and come back here, if that's your thing. Otherwise, let's start off with the key visual. It looks absolutely gorgeous and portrays the third core quite well. Aside from the fact that it feels a little too isolated in terms of characters, I was expecting the key visual for Core 3 to be filled with characters since this is where the war begins, and we got a dozen Integrity Knights, a dozen Dark Territory Generals, and a dozen other vital characters, so I was kinda surprised to see it was limited to Vegirito, Alice, Vecta and Stacia, but yeah, you already know about Kirito's condition that we have talked about in prior videos, along with him constantly clinging onto the Night Sky Sword and the Blue Rose Sword. Alice has her eye back that we will talk about from the trailer really soon. Now, the topic of interest in this key visual is of course the arrival of two gods of Underworld. The key visual portrays the goddess of creation to super account Stacia's arrival as Asuna logs into Underworld to save Kirito from his veggie state and assist the retrieval of Alice. However, there are plenty of twists and turns to that plan once Asuna actually joins the simulation deep inside the Dark Territory, and yeah, that is pretty much the reason why you can see the dark red Dark Territory skyline in the background with ragged mountains, as that is where a majority of the journey will take place after the initial start of the war on the eastern gate of the Human Empire. The person on the top left is the Emperor Vecta, the god of darkness that was banished by the three goddesses Stacia, Solus and Terraria into Dark Territory early in the Legends of Underworld. Of course, these are mostly tales, as Vecta is one of the 4 super accounts, just like Stacia, that are antagonists of the second half of Alicization. Gabrielle Miller aka Subtilizer logs in with to retrieve Alice for herself for reasons you will experience in possibly the first episode of War of Underworld. However, this picture does not do him much justice, as he's showing way too much emotion for himself and his colors are distorted with the dark red of the Dark Territory. His calm and icy blue eyes strongly emit an aura of intimidation to everyone around him, but I'll show you a better illustration during trailer talk, which begins now. The trailer starts back on the wheat fields of Outer Rulid village as Alice is taking care of Kirito. As Eldri speaks, we get visuals from Centauria, and these are flashbacks of Alice, including Eldri's speech here. We see Alice taking Kirito away with her dragon Amayori, while Eldri's speech is aimed towards Commander Berkuli, when the remaining awake knights regroup and receive a briefing from Berkuli himself as to what happened and what they will keep doing after the demise of their pontifex. Well, Alice did share every information she has with Berkuli, as some of this information is quite dangerous, such as Quinella brainwashing and removing the memories of Integrity Knights. Berkuli himself does not divulge too much information on this matter towards the Integrity Knights themselves, and that is one of the main reasons why Eldri considers Kirito to be a criminal that needs to be eliminated here. None of the Integrity Knights simply know the truth behind what transpired that night, aside from Alice and Berkuli, and this will be one of the core themes of War of Underworld as well, the tightrope Berkuli is walking with his decision here on what to share, what not to share, so the Order of Integrity Knights still stick together and keep protecting the humans in the wake of the upcoming war without knowing the sins of Quinella. You can also see when Eldri is stepping up to talk here, the one in the back is Fanatio, who was healed by Cardinal already and left to the Cathedral Garden way before Cardinal was summoned into the battle up top. This is followed by some flashes that we saw in the teaser as well, Alice looking at the Blue Rose Sword, and more instances from the Battle of Central Cathedral as Kirito is struck by the power surge and Alice kinda watching it happen. Keep in mind that Alice is not fully conscious in these instances, but she's aware of certain things happening around her. She vaguely remembers some of his battle against Quinella, as well as Kikoka's commands to Kirito that they need to go to the World's End altar in the south. But again, we hear Alice's inner monologue here. Why did we endure so much suffering? Again, this is one of the core aspects of War of Underworld, the focus on Alice. You'll see her put on various tasks and various labels onto herself to justify her existence, her survival in this world, etc., as she's trying to make sense of all the events that transpired, and this will lead her to ideologically clash with various characters as well in the process. But this leads us to some more new footage. We see Salkar looking upwards, sadly coping quite strongly regarding the fate of Eugeo and Kirito, which Alice has told her, as well as cultivating a relationship with Alice Synthesis 30, accepting her as her sister, despite Alice making it very clear that she was not the same person who was taken away from Rulit. However, she's growing onto the idea of having Selka as her sister as well. Alice really values her time with Selka, mainly due to the scene we see following this, where we see Gusfoot Tsuberg, Alice Tsuberg's father, banishing Alice from Rulit when she arrives after the battle due to her technically still being a criminal despite having become an Integrity Knight here. The reason for this also ties in deeply with the taboo index that the citizens still must obey because they don't know what Quinella really did, as well as how the perception of authority, as in who you see as above you and thus, respect the words of, that will be deeply explored in the early episodes of War of Underworld, which I find quite interesting. It may be boring for some, but it's one of those world building aspects that I really enjoy about Alicization. Then we get some scenes from Ocean Turtle. Not much action will be happening here in real life. However, what happens here is deeply relevant to the War of Underworld. Even the trailer is just an info dump as to what is happening on Ocean Turtle, with Kikoka stating, the attackers knew about Project Alicization, etc. The circumstance here is that both parties are locked into their respective sections due to the lockdown. The attackers, led by Subtilizer, have the main control room under control in the bottom layer with STL Room 1 with 2 available STLs, while Kikoka, Asuna and the others are in the subcon with STL Room 2 next to them, 2 STL units present again, but 1 occupied by Kirito. Then we get more underworld scenes, Vegirito and Alice crying scene from the teaser, and just to make it clear again, no, Alice does not have romantic feelings for Kirito, she's just mentally being torn apart at the moment. Just check the teaser explained for more info on this specific scene. And then we see Eldri begging Alice to return to the Integrity Knights as the war is closing really fast. Alice refuses the offer and keeps standing to Kirito in a casual manner. We see Amayori here, her dragon, and the key thing you should notice is that Amayori no longer has the armor on. Usually the dragons of the Integrity Knights are under a sacred art that keeps them tied to the knight himself or herself. Alice has refused to continue that tradition and even took Amayori's armor off to set her free, but she never went far away and stood by Alice instead, just outside of Rulit. Right after, we see Alice still with her eye patch, rushing towards a location at night on Amayori, of course. This follows up on what you saw last in the teaser trailer, where she saw a huge fire around the location of Rulit, and here she's definitely rushing towards there to check things out, as well as the End Mountains for a certain passage for some clues. Then again, a visual of Kirito and Asuna back on Ocean Turtle, the ring from Ordinal Scale in her finger, of course. You're welcome, dear Valgraf, if you're still there. And the others decide on how to help Kirito and solve their current situation that is about to break out in Underworld. And with the initial spelling out Alice, we see exactly what the current situation in Underworld is starting to look like, with Gabriel Miller opens his cold blue eyes inside the Obsidia Palace as the God of Darkness, Emperor Vecta, summoning his 10 generals. He did not dive alone though, so keep an eye out for a familiar character who used the second STL unit in the same room to aid Subtlizer in his plans that was not shown in the trailer here. Then of course we cut back to Rulit, to Alice raising her sword, and you can see the clouds in the back already reflecting red due to the heavy fire, and Alice unleashing her Osmanthus blade. We cut to the final text with both Alice and Asuna shouting towards Kirito, which is, they really did a nice touch here, that Asuna specifically exclaims Kirito-kun while Alice simply shouts Kirito. It's a nice little detail that Asuna still uses the honorific there. And then we get the same line we heard in the very first teaser a couple months ago when episode 24 aired, with Alice healing her eye and tearing her eye patch out, stating she would fight for her own heart from now on as she dons her Integrity Knight armor once more. And the only thing I want to mention in this bit is solely because people seem to be running wild with the speculation. No, her eye will not remain a different color. As you've seen in the key visual, it will return to its normal color. Here it's merely an eye that has just been healed after it simply did not exist for about half a year, give or take. This is literally just when she took out the eye patch, and Alice makes it very clear that it took her a couple of moments before her eye properly adjusted while she was still fighting the enemies that were present around her at that very scene. But yeah, that's all I have for you. If you made it this far, let me know what you are most excited about. Alice's journey, the new villain Subtlizer aka Gabriel Miller, Asuna coming back into spotlight, more focus and background information on a lot of Integrity Knights, as well as meeting new Integrity Knights, Renly and Shaita the Silent will be the two new main Integrity Knights that are introduced into the story. Maybe even the generals of the Dark Territory that you will get to meet will be, things to be excited about. Personally, one of the Dark Territory generals became one of my favorite characters. He's Vixurul Shasta, so I do recommend keeping an eye out on him, remember his name. You've already seen him before in the series. Aside from that, we are only 200 subscribers away from 25k subs, so let's reach that goal, shall we? Please do try to share this video with your friends, share the hype around War of Underworld, and let's break that 25k milestone together. Alternatively, you can support on Patreon, become a channel member here on YouTube, check out merch, etc. But the current focus is that 25k, so save your monies, push that subscriber barrier, guys. Spread your passion for the most accurate source of SAO information on YouTube, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you very much for watching, and a huge thanks to my patrons and channel members as always. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay cool.